Hey everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is a very special Right Angle brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. And maybe I said that a little snarky because that's my thing, but I'm not kidding at all. I want to tell you the story of a recent college graduate. He was a 275-pound high school and college football player. Now, injuries ended up sidelining his college football career, but he was still doing great in school, expecting to graduate on time and all the rest. When in his junior year, he discovered he had testicular cancer. He underwent surgery to have the cancerous testicle removed, and that's when they discovered it had metastasized. This was not just stage 1 testicular cancer. He had stage 3 lymph node cancer, and he ended up undergoing weeks and weeks of chemo. This 275 muscle bound football player became just a bald, withered husk of his old self, but he persevered. His school didn't really want him there anymore. His fellow classmates did, and his community rallied around him to keep him in school. His family rallied around him, and he ended up graduating just last week on Thursday. And it wasn't just any ordinary college or university. The young man's name is Parker Hammond, and he was just commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force after graduating from the United States Air Force Academy, just a few miles down the road from where I sit right now. This is a remarkable young man, and with all that you know about him right now, I want you to watch this clip.
But through trial and training and tradition, you've become one family. It's what's happened. And like one family, you have all been pulling for one of your classmates who has bravely fought his battle with cancer. Today, Parker Hammond graduates as a munitions and missiles maintenance officer, along with the class that has stood with him every step of the way. Great go. Come on, Parker. Get up here, Parker. Parker, come here. Come here. A lot of good-looking people in this school, I have to say. Thank you, Parker.
I just love that. When you are a newly commissioned second lieutenant and your commander-in-chief calls you up onto stage like that to salute you. Bill, I want to get your response to that.
Well, I have two particular close connections to this story, although I certainly don't know the young man in question. Needless to say, I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I know something about the rigor that's attendant to that, and the camaraderie and all the rest of it. And I also happen to have had a friend who was quite a while ago now, had exactly this situation. It testicular cancer, it metastasized into his lymph nodes. He had to have his lymph nodes removed. He was in the hospital. First time I went to visit him, within several hours of him getting out of ICU, he was lying in the bed, and they were draining something out of him, and there was like a flask or something, just dripping stuff that was coming out of him, and it was the color green that Gatorade cans are. I mean, it was almost fluorescent green, and that didn't look good. And he went through the exact same thing, and has made a full recovery and is fine. And the thing I remember most about that time, year or two it took him to recover, was he said, watching TV makes me tired. And I thought, wow, for those people who are not real familiar with it, the reason that chemotherapy is so hard on people and they suffer so much is that chemotherapy is poison that's introduced into your body, and they introduce just enough not to kill you, because the cancer cells take this up faster than regular cells. So the line between what that cancer cell is taking up to die versus what all of the other cells are being exposed to, and still, soldier through it. It's about as near death as you can be for a year or more. So needless to say, I'm exceedingly proud. That's the word. I'm proud of this guy. I'm proud he's an American. I'm proud he's in the military. I'm proud he's in the Air Force, and I'm proud he's gone to the Air Force Academy. I'm especially proud of the way his classmates behaved, because I don't have the full details of the story, but the outline's pretty clear. They basically, this guy, I'm speaking metaphorically, he fell down on the field and they picked him up and carried him. Or at the very least, they picked him up and held him up, because he did the actual walking, but he didn't do it by himself. And I'm reminded once again, since this is a political show, I'm just reminded once again the difference in tone that President Trump brings to military events versus President Obama. And George Bush had that same kind of positive quality. You could see from that clip that it looked like he was having fun. And it is, as you pointed out, Steve, is not just the President of the United States. He's the Commander-in-Chief. It won't be him for the rest of this guy's life, but it's going to be somebody for 20, 30 years. And for him to call you up like you were a fraternity friend, John, what was his name again? Was it Johnson?
Parker Hammond.
Hammond, come on, get up here, you knucklehead. He didn't say knucklehead, but that's what it felt like.
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, come on, you knucklehead. Come here, I'll give you a noogie, you tough bastard. And I enjoyed seeing the president's ease with the military, and I enjoyed watching the reaction of the other cadets to. I knew how they were going to react to their classmate, but I like the way they reacted to Trump, and I especially like Trump's little, out the door kind of walking away little line. I was like, there's some really good-looking people in this school. It's not the kind of thing you would expect to hear at the Air Force Academy, but he was right, and they sure do look good in their dress uniforms. So, big win, and especially for him, for his family, and for the country.
Indeed. At full disclosure, I've got a small personal connection here. I've never met Parker. I've never met Lieutenant Hammond, but he is the son of my wife's boss. So I've been following this story closely for, I think, about a year and a half now, maybe even longer, as my wife would come home with stories that her boss, JD, had told her throughout Parker's diagnosis and trials, you might say, and eventual recovery. It's been really remarkable for me to watch. Scott, we were joking around on the backstage this week for our members about Trump not preparing his speeches. He gave kind of a perfunctory address with outgoing British PM May earlier this week. But you know what? Sometimes that off-the-cuff thing really serves him well, wouldn't you say?
I think it does, yes. And, the president, while he didn't serve in the military, did go to a military-type preparatory school, similar to you, right, Steve, I think? You also...
Missouri Military Academy, Class 87.
You had that kind of experience. And what this incident made me think, actually, is it's really encouraging, not just to me personally, but I think anybody can draw encouragement from this, because no matter what kind of challenge you're going through right now, there are people who have gone through just absolute nightmares, through the valley of the shadow of death to the brink, and have somehow managed to recover from that. Now, no one here gets out alive, and certainly, I'm not saying this to trivialize anybody's trauma or to make light of it, but it just, from this, I draw encouragement. When you just think you can't take another step, you can take another step. When you just think that nobody cares, somebody cares. One of the greatest things about our military, in many cases, we ask people to make independent value judgments and decisions beyond what anybody could ever be asked to make in the spur of the moment, in absolute aloneness, let's call it that way. But you're never alone. There's always this whole force of people who are around you who feel this common bond with you. That exists in the military. That exists to a certain extent within the body of Christ that I'm a part of, the Christian church. And it used to, and I think still does and can exist in the United States of America. there is a common bond that we share that makes us want to share each other's burdens, that makes us want to, as Bill said, help the other guy up and help him to walk down the last mile. This is just such an encouraging thing to me, and I think Parker or Lieutenant Hammond has done something obviously for himself to save his own skin, but he's done something much greater than this. He set an example for his comrades in arms. He set an example for the President of the United States, and he set an example for you and me to press on, to take another step, to believe that tomorrow can be better than today against all odds. And I'm so glad you brought this story to us, Steve.
Pardon me. Thank you, and me too. I really didn't want to talk about politics today, but Bill brought it up, so I'm going to totally blame him. I was talking with my wife about this last night because you really encouraged me to choose this as my topic this week, and I'm very thankful for that. She knows people who know people at the academy, and so I got a little bit of the inside dirt here, not just on what happened Thursday at the academy commencement, but before that. The last time President Obama spoke, gave the commencement address at the academy, he shook exactly 10 hands at the end of the ceremony and then left. That was it. He'd given a speech, he'd shaken his 10 hands, and he was done. And my wife informed me that 10 hands is the number your PR person tells you must shake to seem polite before you scurry on and do the thing that you actually want to do. President Trump, he stuck around, and he shook the hands, and I looked this up, of all 913 graduating cadets, or I should say officers. They had commenced. They were now commissioned officers. He shook every single hand in that graduating class there. There were two different colonels. I won't say any names here, who said they'd never been in a position to salute, or much less get their salute returned from their commander-in-chief. But that happened for them yesterday too, because Trump just stuck around and wanted to meet and greet everybody there. It's a remarkable story, and politics aside, this one is for just a really inspiring young officer. And thank you very much. And that's all I think I can say about that, so I'm going to wrap this up. If you're a member of BillWhittle.com, I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you're not a member of BillWhittle.com and you like this kind of content, I really wish you'd click on over and become a member, because it's members who make this possible. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.